So, wow. Wow. Okay. Man, politicians in the room. All right. So here's what we did on Tuesday. I added in a few extra things, like some beautiful crates. So if you did the crates and barrels assignment in 220, then now's a great time to bring those in and kick them around, and we'll next week we'll have them blow us up and things like that. So I lied. I lied to everyone on Tuesday, and this is my public apology to say I'm going to do better. Please don't cancel me. Huh? Where's the what? Nah, I can't. Mason's also in theater. He can maybe, like, if you need fake tears, he's your guy. Yeah. Um, so I've done this I don't know how many times, and then just wasn't even thinking. The grass didn't work the way we wanted it to on Tuesday. So I went into Photoshop. I probably didn't even save it, and I just drew some lines, and then I imported that in here in my textures folder. And so this is black lines on a transparent background, and I'm using it as grass. Okay, and we can see like that it billboards, right? It's just a little 2D sprite that follows as the camera moves around. You've probably seen this in a half a hundred games already, and it kind of works. So over here on my paint details, I added this brush, and we painted it in. And if we look at the details of this brush, I gave it a texture. I called it Terrible Grass, but these colors weren't happening because I messed up and lied to everyone. That needs to be white. It's tinting my healthy grass with green, and it's randomizing some dry colors in with that. But when you put those colors over black, nothing happens. Yeah, so I'm going to go back into Photoshop and just draw this again. What you want for anything you're going to tint in game, it needs to be white, and then you can add color to it, right? That's additive color, whatever. Yeah, so I messed up. So that part we'll fix. How did I do that last one? That's 256 is what I did, so we'll do that again. This part's easy. I could just do that, but I didn't like it, so I'm just gonna make a new one. All right, layers, and turn that off, make a new layer. Use white this time. Draw some grass. It's still going to be awful because I'm trying to be fast. Can't be that good either. Let me do this. I'm gonna make this background black so I can see what I'm doing, because drawing white on white doesn't help me. Paintbrush, flip those, start drawing. Ooh, oh yeah, that's right. The grid tries to help me, so we're just gonna draw some whatever. Ooh, amazing. So if your parents got you a nice drawing tablet, this is a good time for it. All right. Oh, one more. Okay, then we'll save it. You know what? Don't buy my game then. And so I can save that directly into my project folder, or just save it somewhere else and then go grab it later. Just gonna save it here in downloads where I know I need to grass better. Definitely not good, but it's okay. All right, here we go. Explorer, downloads. Still not good, but not quite as embarrassing is what we're going for. All right, drag that in. And I think I can just replace that. So if I go to edit details here, I can say, you know what, let's use this other thing. Where's it at? There we go, grass better. Oh, yeah, look at that. You want an alien look, then just go something stupid, right? Like give it purple grass, whatever. That's really what we're here for, SpongeBob Coral. All right, and then we just paint more on. Grass everywhere. Yeah, what the heck? New Patrick game. So anyway, that's better. So we made a terrain. This is all in the other video. You'll catch up. We made a terrain. We added some grass. We added trees. I added flowers, and I should have added the flowers as paint details here or something else. Since I added them as tree meshes, the flowers have collision, and I can't, like, I got to go around the flowers. Yeah, I can walk through the waving purple grass, but the flowers, like, stop me. Yeah. Yeah, so now we're enforcing that. I added colliders to things, and if you add colliders and rigid bodies, then you can just pick them around. Even if it's maybe if it's a massive crate. Yeah. So the physics in my world is definitely broken. The flowers are just super tough. This barrel has nothing going on it, so I can just like flip through it. It just floats in the air. It's a magic barrel because I didn't do anything to it. So we're just going to add stuff to our scene that includes better grass that's purple and green or whatever. I brought in a bunch of stuff here. So I'm going to walk you through a little bit of that. We're using the first person controller that's also linked on the assignment. I just drug in some random crates and barrels and things. Apparently I've done so many barrels that I've got like 5 or 6 different ones. So that one's cool. Yeah, there's a full castle here. I got a castle. We can talk about that. So I got castles. Yeah, we're big peeps. So we watched the very informative video on Tuesday by 3 professionals in the field on colliders. And if you'll remember, professional game developer Joe Biden said it's really easy just to add mesh colliders, and everyone else shut him down. So, yeah, that video. In cases like this, though, right? This is where I would probably, unless I want to spend a lot of time, like Joe said, I'm going to be old and dead before I get all these colliders added. I could add a whole bunch of box colliders and stuff to approximate all of this geometry, and it would take a lot of time. And then I could walk up to the walls and walk through the arches and do all the cool stuff, and it would work. Probably the way we're supposed to do it. But I'm not as old as Joe, but I don't have that time either. So in this case, I will add a mesh collider. Okay, so a mesh collider takes every face of the object that you've just added the collider to, and now that's collision. So I don't know what the poly count is of this castle, but this is using a lot more colliding and physics thinking on behalf of the engine than like probably the whole rest of the scene. But since I didn't make this castle in a modular fashion where I can just drop a bunch of walls in and they all have their own things, it's one big mesh. The mesh collider is the fastest, easiest way to do it. At some point, you cannot do that. At some point, your poly count is so high that if you add a mesh collider to it, the game's not playable. But in this case, I'm going to risk it, and we're gonna. So I added a mesh collider. So mesh collider wraps every face is collidable. I could like jump on top of here. I could play. You know, if I could jump up there with a ladder, I could like stand here, and then I could stand here. It would all just work. So good stuff. I'm going to. I think somebody was right, and that castle's too small. I go to my castle. I could scale it. So this is a scaling tool here, and I could just do that. Or this is the FBX I brought in. So if I come over here and I come to the select in the inspector and go to model, I can just say this whole thing I want scaled up by like 3 times. So scale factor 3, and I hit apply. Now he's a big boy castle, and maybe too big. I probably should have gone 2. And now every time I drag a castle out, it's that size. I don't have to keep scaling every time. So when I scale the original FBX, we're good to go. So I add this castle. We think maybe it's not going to break the whole world. Maybe. Throw this over here. We'll have to walk to it later. I added a mesh collider. Let's talk about mesh colliders. Well, we'll come back to the castle. Let me go to a barrel. I'll drag a barrel. What's a good looking barrel? This one looks kind of all right. No, it still sucks. We'll still use it. All right, so I got a barrel. Okay, I want this barrel to be kickable, but I want it to be kind of realistic. So I could do, all right, I could do a box collider on it, and then it's going to be weird. Like there's a corner I can't get into there. The other thing I could do, just remove this component. I could add a capsule collider, and then, but now it's like rounded on the top and bottom because capsules are literally capsules. They're rounded. You can make them oblong, but it's going to roll. Okay, so in this case, I'm going to go halfway and I'm going to add mesh collider. Okay, and so now every face of that is colliding like that castle is, and at this point, I could balance a bullet up here on the rim of this if we wanted to get into that kind of crazy physics. But if I also want this to be a thing that the physics engine can move, right? Which means I got to add a rigid body. So I'm going to add rigid body. This combination here is dangerous. It won't work. So if I have a mesh collider by default, its default settings, and a rigid body on it, and I start the game, this is just going to clip through the world and just keep falling forever. I don't know how. I probably spent half a week the first time I discovered this wonderful feature of Unity. I was adding something into a VR thing that I was working on for a company, and like it's there. I added all the stuff to it, and every time I hit play and turned around, it was gone. I was like, why does this thing just keep vanishing? And it took me, I don't know, like a day or 2. I was like, what's happening? And then I was watching in the inspector while the game was playing, and we'll just watch it with this. Right? I'm gonna hit play. Yeah, I finally figured out, looking at the inspector when it was playing. Hello, computer. What? No freaking way. Did it just work? There it is. Yeah. So it's dropping. That it's because the concave mesh collider, and the rigid body don't work well together, and I'm getting an error message here. I'm getting a shaming error message here. Non-convex mesh collider with a non-kinematic rigid body is no longer supported since Unity 5. Huh? So Unity 5 was like 2015, 2016. And about 2017, we started adding the year number to it. And so it's been 20, blah, 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 blah. And now they're going back and they're doing Unity 6. So they're changing the thing back. But 8 years? They're like, hey, idiot, is what they're saying to me. And I'm internalizing it a little bit. I mean, when I took my Photoshop exam, they tested me on like a 2005 version of the program. Mm-hmm. I was looking at like Windows 98 graphics. All right, so to fix this, I want this thing to be kickable, but also like have as much of the cool physics as we can. All I'm gonna do is hit this button right here, convex. And look, it's basically like taking saran wrap, right? And just wrapping your whatever the object is. So now this will work with physics. I couldn't balance anything up on the rim, on this ridge of the barrel here, but overall the outer shape is going to work. So if it'll stand on its bottom, and then when I kick it, it'll roll nicely according to the overall geometry. And so that's going to work. And we look at the castle here. So the castle, I'm not going to kick around the map, especially now that it's 3 times bigger. So I didn't add a rigid body. So this is fine with Mesh Collider on it. But, and apparently that didn't, all right. So just to get a better idea of what convex does, if I was to wrap it, this is what it would do. Like, so literally, like, take the weirdest Christmas present you've ever bought for somebody and wrap it without a box. That's what we're doing when we say convex. So if I had this castle as a toy and I was going to wrap it up in wrapping paper for a birthday, Christmas, or whatever, this is kind of what it would look like. Make sense? Yeah. So then if I try to jump on this, I could walk across this area right here because it's wrapped. I couldn't ever get inside of it. So that's what the convex mesh collider does. All right, let me go. I think the barrel should have been fixed. Yeah, if you wrap your castle, you can't go in there. Obviously, that's not the barrel. Where's the barrel that boom, there it is. And see it kind of, yeah, see, look, it's even like the outer roundness of it where it's got like that curve. So it's like, it's kind of cool. All right. I don't see frame rate dropping terribly as I run into this castle, but that's stopping me. It's just kind of working. Yeah, in real life, I could clip through this, but I'm trying to approximate this to what you can do. Yeah, so no student left behind. All right, so that's 3D physics and weird stuff and colliders. So for your world this week, you need a couple of big objects like this castle or like big village things, spaceships, things we could maybe like walk up to but not push, realistic manner, maybe even step on. So we want things with no rigid body, so no physics, but we do want a collider on them that makes sense. And then we want a bunch of things like the crates and the barrels that have colliders and rigid bodies on them. So if I run up to them, I can kick them across the map. And then later on, when we have things like explosives and guns and things like that, the things that we could kick are even more fun. Like, shoot a bullet at that and send it flying across the map. It's just satisfying. Next week, we'll deal with the explosive barrel. Yeah. Next week, we'll get into some scripts. And we'll add some cool stuff to that explosive barrel. So if we run up to it, we just instantly die. That's fine. Next week we'll get into sound effects. Yes, yeah, and we'll have our favorite presidents along to help us with audio as well next week. It's good stuff. I'm rarely, and by rarely I mean almost freaking never on TikTok, but this is like the one person I follow. The person making these videos is a hero. Yeah, they're still coming out. There was like at least twice as many this year as there were this time last year. It's good stuff. Yeah, we could do it like speed style. So you pick up an explosive barrel, and then you're running at like 80 miles or better, then you're fine. And then when you stop running, the barrel explodes. The what? Yeah. Just so when you say Flash and plot, I mean we're kind of stretching already, but it was a good show. I still enjoyed it. And I'm the only person fast enough to stop them. Anyway, television commentary aside, giant anvil. Yeah, we need that in our lives. And this one I'm gonna do. Yeah, I'm gonna do the mesh collider. This is massive amounts of poly, so I'll wrap that guy. Wow. Okay, look at that. So I brought this in for illustrative purposes, and it's definitely working. This is a super high poly thing, and just putting a mesh collider on and saying shrink wrap that thing took that long. It was like, whoa, hold on, I got to think about this. So if I made it non-convex, I'd probably slow my frame rate down. I want to check now. Where did it even go? Where's my anvil? Ah, there it is. That's not the frame rate. That's the flower slowing me down. So yeah, that's I don't know if I'll have to check. Okay, it's not bad. If I had a bunch of those, I might have a problem. But so far it's working. Yeah. I don't even know if I can remember where I put it. I had the way our building looked maybe 4 or 5 years ago before a couple remodels. I had that fully done in 3D, and as a WebGL like first person explorer, I had that online. A student had made for me one of our VR headsets and did not pay attention to poly count like they were supposed to, and I couldn't even publish. Like I couldn't publish this thing. It took me forever to go through all of my models. I learned a lot about optimization, but WebGL can only go up to a certain size, and this one model was like twice of the entire rest of this building and the furniture and everything else in it. One model. Poly count was like in the millions, and WebGL just straight said no. So I spent a lot of time tracking down that one model and going delete, and then it just worked. A 16 million?
It was like a super high quality scan.
Billion, 16 billion poly Pop-Tart.
It's like I remember seeing that it was like a super high quality scan of an actual Pop-Tart. They just scanned it as.
But even 16 billion, like they got the super high quality scan and then hit subdivide on it. Like that's wacky. That's why I'm running out of Google Drive space. Someone else took up the rest of the internet.
What the heck?
I don't know. But yeah, Blender would freak out.
I could download it.
No, don't download it.
Right. Well, now we know why Micah's homework's not going to be done on time. His laptop's going to die. All right. Really quick, just to check myself. We'll go to the rubric. We created a terrain object. We added height. We have materials, trees, grass. Your grass should start as a nice white color so that you can get some tinting on it. We have the mini FPS controller, smaller objects to kick around, large building size structures that we don't kick around. And then we got these other weird criteria. And so this is on a scale of 0 to 10. It's these freshmen, I'm telling you.
That was happening in Burton's class.
Yeah, we heard it from inside. I'd love to see this screenshot.
Yeah, somebody had a stroller outside the quiet place, but I think they've maybe violated the terms and conditions of the quiet place. Yeah, so 10 points of this, 10% of this is creative, interesting, and fun. Don't be boring. If you give me a terrain that just barely meets the criteria because you added one mountain, but everything else is flat, and you added just a couple trees, and you're like, I added trees, check the box, and the thing just looks boring, that's why this is a scale. So you'll get like no points for that. Mason, I'm not saying you've got to drop your other 18 classes you're taking this semester, but put some time in on this and don't let it be boring. You added another class?
Yeah, like I make it.
I'm going to drop you myself. Like this is.
I purposely work harder to make it.
Yeah.
You know?
So 0 to 10 points of your required points are it's interesting and fun, and then if you're if you're Micah and you're like I'm not taking any other, I'm just assuming he's not taking any other classes, then he's going to put 50 hours in on this. Then there's extra credit opportunities for completely wacky things. Yeah. All right. So far in our 2 videos, I think we covered the criteria well. So we're gonna cut this off and save some room on the internet. Not with large video sizes. We're gonna save room for Pop-Tarts on the internet.